A Latin pop singer has turned into one of the best hitters in the league while performing at games. The best team in baseball has turned into one of the worst teams in baseball and can't stop fighting people. And the best player in the sport is doing what at second base? Something is seriously wrong with baseball in 2024. Offense has suddenly fallen off a cliff. Some people are blaming pitchers. Some people are blaming this one pitch that all of a sudden is impossible to hit. Some people are blaming the ball itself, while others don't even seem to think it's real at all. The decrease in offense is so apparent, one team even hired a purple McDonald's mascot to help them hit better. And it actually worked. Also, Brian Snitker got hit in the nuts. An umpire stabbed a bat boy. This guy threw up on the mound, and this fan almost fell onto the field, got saved by the net, was ejected, then moments later got unejected and returned to his seat. But none of that has anything to do with why MLB hitters all of a sudden don't seem to be able to hit. In fact, offense is so hard to come by right now, it's already produced a stat that might end up being the most insane thing to happen in sports this year. Around MLB, it's becoming more common to see position players pitch. They throw very slow and almost always get destroyed. It's done in blowouts. Teams don't want to waste their actual pitchers in games they know they can't win, so they just sacrifice a position player to get embarrassed. Except in 2024, they've been unhittable. In a span of a month and a half, there were 15 position players who pitched. They didn't give up a single run. They faced 55 batters and only struck out one of them. Yet somehow, the league only hit 130 against them with an on-base percentage of .255, only slugging .152. Yes, there were only 5 actual pitchers who had better numbers than position players had during that same stretch. Their fastest pitch was 85 miles per hour. Danny Mendick didn't throw a pitch faster than 60, and he still didn't give up a run. The streak finally ended on June 20th after going 1 month and 17 days without giving up a single run. Well, position players are not the only ones dominating on the mound. The entire league is struggling. The league is on pace to score 1,200 less runs than it did last year, 1,400 less hits, hit 800 fewer homers, and league-wide OPS is down nearly 30 points than it was last season. League-wide batting average is tied for the lowest in MLB history.
And in May, these numbers dropped to drastic levels. On-base percentage was the lowest since 1907, average was the lowest since 1908, and slugging was the lowest since 1980. Teams like the Mets showed this. As a team, they only hit .232 in May. That month, they went 9-19, tied for the worst record in baseball, all while having the highest payroll in the league. Things got so bad for the Mets, their pitcher had a complete meltdown on the mound. They were about to get swept by the Dodgers, their 19th loss in 26 games, when Jorge Lopez came in, threw a pickoff that hit the umpire, gave up a few runs, then boiled over, argued with this call, then got ejected. His manager had to help him off the field so he didn't lose complete control, but before he got into the dugout, he tossed his glove into the stands. After the game, he told the media he didn't regret this and said, quote, "I play for the worst team in baseball." So the Mets instantly cut him from the team. But just when it looked like it couldn't get any worse for the Mets, it did. Because Jorge Lopez didn't even say that. It was originally reported he said he played on the worst team in baseball. However, without an interpreter, it wasn't clear.
I think I've been looking the worst team probably in the whole MLB, so...
Many people thought he actually said he was, quote, the worst teammate in baseball because of his meltdown. Lopez clarified afterwards, saying that is what he meant, and people not only emphasized with Lopez because his misquote, but also because it was his son's birthday, who was battling serious health issues. Unfortunately, it was too late, and the Mets already cut him from the team. Lopez then went to Chicago and has been lights out ever since, while the Mets star closer Edwin Diaz blew 3 saves in a row, was replaced as the closer. Their best starter has been out for the entire season and only had a 12% chance to make the playoffs. It looked like rock bottom. Then Grimace from McDonald's throughout the first pitch. That night, the Mets scored 10 runs. The next night, they won on a walk-off. Fans started thanking Grimace for saving the Mets season. So the next day, Edwin Diaz came in and got his first save in weeks. Grimace was all of a sudden in Times Square. He was chugging beers during rain delays. He came in to distract the other team's pitcher, and they won 7 games in a row immediately after his first pitch. But was it actually Grimace who saved the Mets season, or was it because they signed a literal Latin pop star to play second base while also letting him do post-game concerts? Jose Iglesias finished second in Rookie of the Year voting, made an All-Star team, was considered one of the best shortstops in baseball for a while defensively, but after a disappointing 2022 at the plate, nobody wanted him. He spent all of 2023 in the minors, thinking his career was likely ending soon. He started a career in music. He created a song called OMG, which he was planning to release, but the Mets, desperate for help, called him up in June. Noticing the opportunity, he made his own song, OMG, that he sings himself, his own walk-up song, and the Mets loved it. He started going off, hit over 400 with an OPS close to 1,000 in June. Made t-shirts, played it non-stop in the clubhouse, and the team even let him debut it live after a game with a live concert. After beating the Astros, Iglesias went on the field, performed it in front of background dancers as the team cheered him on. Then they entered the field and started performing the song with him.
We're at one point 11 games back of their rivals, the Atlanta Braves, but going into a 4-game series, they were a half game back with a chance to pass them and enter a comfortable position in the playoff standings. The Braves were going in the opposite direction. Last year, this was arguably the best offense ever. They had the highest team slugging percentage in history, but since May, they are one of the worst offenses in the league. So far this season, they lost MVP Ronald Acuna, Cy Young favorite Spencer Strider, Michael Harris is hurt, Avi Alves just got hurt, and now Max Fried and Ronaldo Lopez are also hurt. Instead, they're relying on players like Nacho Alvarez, Eddie Rosario, Whit Merrifield, and Ramon Laureano, all who have either never played Major League Baseball or have been cut for not being good enough to play Major League Baseball within the past year. And it showed immediately. Behind a lights-out performance by Cy Young hopeful Chris Sale, the Braves had a runner on second with a chance to take the lead in the ninth. Whit Merrifield tried to steal and got thrown out, killing their chances to take the lead. The next inning, Ramon Laureano got confused by this bunt, tried to go home, stopped halfway, was thrown out by a mile while also almost starting a fight, killing the Braves' chances again. Tied in the bottom of the 10th, the Mets were almost guaranteed to win, but Pierce Johnson comes in and strikes out JD Martinez. He then strikes out Mark Vientos and only needs one more out to get out of a jam. He gets Jeff McNeil to hit a fly ball. Ramon Laureano runs over to catch it and overruns a fly ball to lose the game. Following one of the worst losses possible, the Braves went on to give up 7 runs in 1 inning the next day to blow a lead, and the Mets officially passed the Braves in the playoff standings. On June 11th, they were 11 games under 500. They were 15 and a half games back from first place. But since Grimace's appearance, they have the second best offense in baseball, best record in baseball. They went from having a 12% chance to make the playoffs to having a 60% chance to make the playoffs. Their ace Kodai Senga finally returned from injury, and somehow, against all odds, they surpassed the Braves in overall record. Then, in about 2 days, Senga got hurt again and is out for the year. They got shut out by the Braves, got smoked the next day, were outscored 13-2, had their playoff odds drop 15% in less than 48 hours, and once again are behind the Atlanta Braves. As these two teams duke it out, the Phillies are comfortably in first, the Nationals are out of it, and the Marlins traded all their players and have one of the worst offenses you'll ever see. But as stated before, this is a league-wide problem. In the past, when offense was down league-wide, everyone would blame the baseball, claiming MLB tinkered with it and changed the material, causing the ball not to go as far. But if this was the case, you'd expect a decrease in drag efficiency which hasn't happened. The ball seems not to be the issue, and the biggest contributor for less offense might just be this one pitch. The splitter is back. For years, pitchers were afraid to throw splitters, thinking it was bad for their arms. Now, they do not care. In 2016, only 44 pitchers threw splitters. This season, 92 pitchers have thrown one. Usage has doubled in the past 8 seasons. Hitters aren't used to hitting against this pitch and haven't been able to adjust. The league has a 517 OPS against a splitter, meaning they're more effective than fastballs, sliders, sweepers, curveballs, changeups, and every other pitch thrown in MLB this season. Pitchers like Zach Wheeler, Hunter Green, Jordan Hicks, and Bryce Miller all started throwing one this year. Yoan Duran, Jeremy Estrada, and Yamamoto have all made a name for themselves by throwing this pitch, but as nasty as these splitters are, none of them can compare to Paul Skeens' Splinker. But before we get to that, a quick word from today's sponsor. I'm happy to announce that today's video is brought to you by Game Time. It's summer, which means there's baseball games, a ton of baseball games. If you're one of those people who aren't going to a baseball game, something might be wrong with you. Because even people who don't like baseball go to baseball games. And if you're going to a baseball game and not using Game Time, that's even worse. I just used Game Time this week to see a game in Baltimore. Got tickets at the last minute, way cheaper than they should have been, because Game Time has insane last minute deals unlike any other app, with up to 60% discounts. It's not just for baseball, it's for almost any sport. It's also for concerts, comedy, theater, the orchestra, opera, almost anything. You can see your seat from the app. They have zone deals, flash deals, they have the cheapest tickets available. Literally, if you find a cheaper ticket, they have a price match guarantee that ensures you get the best deal possible. So take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. Download the Game Time app, make an account, and use code BDE for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Create an account and redeem code BDE for $20 off. Do it right now. Paul Skeens mixed a splitter and a sinker. It's called a splinker, and it's helped him take over MLB. He struck out the highest rated prospect in baseball this spring, started the season in the minors, where it took him 4 entire starts to give up 1 run. He struck out 57% of the batters he faced. Out of the 125 fastest pitches in AAA, he was responsible for 124 of them. For the first month of the season, it is not out of the question to believe that the best pitcher on earth was in the minor leagues, and that changed in May. Skeens was promoted and was a sensation, in part because he was dominating major league hitters and arguably had the most famous girlfriend in the league.
What's your favorite thing about Mr. Paul Skeens? His mustache and Livy Dunn.
My brain can't even process how hard he throws.
Skeens rolled through May without a challenge, setting himself up for his first big test against Shohei Ohtani and the stacked Los Angeles Dodgers. Inking over $1 billion in contracts this offseason, the Dodgers not only had the most expensive team in MLB history, they arguably had the most powerful lineup. And then they all got hurt. Max Muncy went down in May. Mookie Betts fractured his hand in June. Kershaw, Dustin May, Walker Buehler, Tony Gonsolin have barely pitched. And in June, superstar Yoshinobu Yamamoto went down with a strained rotator cuff. After signing for $700 million, more pressure was on Shohei Ohtani than ever. He responded by having another historical season. Through July, Ohtani has more WAR than any DH in history. He's on pace to have the highest OPS plus for a DH in history, has already stolen more bases in a year than any DH in history, and it's only July, and right now is on pace for 9.17 WAR. That would demolish the record for WAR by a DH. He leads the NL in homers, runs, average on-base percentage, slugging, and OPS. Yes, that's pretty much every single offensive stat, while also being on track for 41 steals. That would make him only the 6th player in history to have 40 homers and 40 steals in a season, and the only DH ever to do that. Without the ability to pitch or play the field due to injury, Ohtani's MVP chances were extremely low coming into the year, since no DH in history has ever really come close. But right now, he's running away with the MVP. Ohtani is having the best season for a designated hitter in baseball history. But up to this point, he never got a chance to face Paul Skeens, and in June, he got that chance with everybody watching.
Skeens blew a fastball right by him. Then, on an 0-1 count, and up 2 strikes on Ohtani, Skeens does it again.
How do you like this show? How do you like this show? Pittsburgh.
Throwing a fastball right down the middle, embarrassing the best hitter in the league on 3 straight fastballs he couldn't come close to hitting. And Ohtani might have taken this personally, because he came to the plate a few innings later, and Skeens tried to throw a fastball again.
3-2. Ohtani tees off, straightaway center field. This ball's gone!
To this day, these 3 runs Skeens gave up is the most he's given up in a single game in his entire career. Going into the All-Star break, he was 2nd in the NL in ERA, strikeouts, runs allowed, 3rd in K percentage, and not only became an All-Star, he was picked to start the All-Star game, an honor that is almost unheard of. He is only the 5th rookie in history to start an All-Star game, as the entire baseball world hoped to see a matchup between him and the league's best hitter, Aaron Judge. And in the very first inning, we got it. Aaron Judge came to the plate as Paul Skeens stared him down, and on the very first pitch, Judge grounded out. This was pretty anticlimactic, but Aaron Judge and the Yankees season hasn't been. They've already gotten in fights with the Rays, the Orioles, and the Red Sox. Started the season hotter than anyone in baseball, but some Yankees fans still think they're doomed. Trading for Juan Soto this offseason, it was clear the Yankees were World Series or bust. Aaron Judge, though, started the season terribly. He got booed at his own stadium and even got booed on his own bobblehead day. But even with Judge being terrible and without Garrett Cole, the Yankees found themselves in first at the start of May. Then, Aaron Judge became the best player on the planet. Since May, he's first in homers, first in RBI, first in average, first in on-base percentage, slugging, OPS, WAR. Pretty much every single offensive category, Aaron Judge is first in, and his teammate Juan Soto is second in many of these categories. So when the Yankees got Garrett Cole back in June while having the best record in baseball, it seemed like nothing could go wrong. Then they turned into the worst team in the league. At the same time, their rivals, the Red Sox, got hot. At one point, they only had a 10% chance to make the playoffs in early June. Then, they won 12 of their next 16, going into a series against the Yankees, who were on a 4-14 stretch. But still, with a 5.5 game lead over the Red Sox, the Yankees felt good. It was a pitcher's duel at first. One run could make all the difference. Anthony Volpe got to third. Ben Rice hit this ball. It was an easy double play, but since the first baseman touches first, then throws to second, it's not a force, meaning Volpe, who is at third, can score easily. Except he didn't even run hard. The runner got tagged before he touched home, so this run doesn't count, all because Volpe doesn't hustle. But still, the Red Sox couldn't get anything going, so after getting 1 out in the 9th, the Yankees had a 99% chance to win this game. But just a few moments later,
Swinging a high fly ball right field. It's deep. That's carrying out of here. It is gone.
Oh my fucking God! What the fuck?
the Red Sox then hit another homer to seal the victory.
And that ball gets out of here. That's a home run.
Not only did the Yankees blow this game, they lost the series as Rafael Devers crushed a bomb off Garrett Cole, flipped his bat as Garrett Cole stared him down. But there was nothing he could do. The Yankees at one point had the best record in baseball. Now they weren't even first in their own division. That's the Orioles, and believe it or not, the Yankees were about to have beef with them as well. The Orioles have turned into a juggernaut. After adding Corbin Burnes to an already deadly lineup, they snuck past the Yankees, and going into this series, a fight was destined to happen. It all started in June when Juan Soto ran into Jordan Westburg, causing Westburg to have to leave the game. Speculating the Orioles thought this was a dirty collision, it makes sense they would try to get revenge. The next day, Aaron Judge got drilled right on the hand. He also had to leave the game. Then Gleyber Torres got hit in the same spot, and this time the Yankees were pissed. Naturally, the next day, the Orioles' best player, Gunnar Henderson, also got drilled by a pitch. With tensions rising, the umpires issued a warning. Then Colton Cowser got hit. He got pissed, threw his bat. Jose Trevino, also pissed, kicked his bat, and the next day, 2 more Orioles got hit, setting up for the next series, which would not only be a fight for first place, but also a literal fight. Things got serious quickly. Defending a lead, the Yankees lost control of a pitch and nailed Hurston Kjerstad directly in the head. Orioles manager Brandon Hyde came out to check on him, says he heard chirping from the Yankees dugout, and all hell broke loose. The benches cleared, the bullpens cleared, people pushed each other for several minutes, but eventually everybody calmed down. The Orioles lost the game and couldn't get revenge the next day as the Yankees won again, only needing one more win to take the division lead. This time, the Orioles didn't waste time. In the first inning, Aaron Judge came to the plate, and on the very first pitch, the Orioles nailed him. O's fans cheered, Yankees fans booed, but the players stayed calm. The two teams traded homers all game, but in the 9th, down by 1, Ben Rice went deep, giving the Yankees a demanding 2-run lead in the 9th inning with a 93% chance to win this game. Then, Clay Holmes gives up a hit and walks a batter. However, with Ryan Mountcastle at the plate, the Yankees only need one more out to win this game. Clay Holmes gets him to hit a routine ground ball to short, and Anthony Volpe
bounces it to Volpe, who has a trouble finding the handle.
This game should be over, but the Yankees still just need one more out, and they win this game and take back the division lead when Cedric Mullins hits this fly ball. According to StatCast, it has a 15% chance to be a hit. Alex Verdugo misreads it, and it drops. The Orioles win this game by the skin of their teeth and stay in first place, where they still are today, maintaining a half-game lead in the division. With 2 more months to play and 3 more head-to-head games, this is subject to change. And if it's anything like the first half of the season, something will go seriously wrong.
There's a bird in short left center.
That's not just a bird, though. That's a big bird.